Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge. Knowledge makes you great.
APJ Abdul Kalam, whose projects in space, defense, and nuclear technology guided India into the 21st century, became our 11th president in 2002. Hello children, I am Needu, your English teacher. Today we are going to study the 6th chapter, My Childhood. My Childhood is an extract taken from the autobiographical novel Wings of Fire by APJ Abdul Kalam. He talks about the people, the incidents, and the experiences that he had during his childhood, which shaped his adult life. Although he was born in a conservative society, his family, his teachers, and his friends influenced Dr. Kalam in his childhood, and he imbibed values of secularism, honesty, and discipline. In this extract, Abdul Kalam reveals how our life is shaped by our experiences and the people around us. Kalam's secure childhood, inspiring parents, supportive friends, and honest teachers instilled great values in him that gave him the strength to travel from his modest beginnings to the president's house. Here we start our chapter. I was born into a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. APJ Abdul Kalam was born into a middle-class Tamil family, and his place of birth, that is Rameshwaram, is an island town in the state of Tamil Nadu. Today we know the state as Tamil Nadu, but when he was born, at that time the state was known as Madras. Okay, so the meaning of the word erstwhile is former. Formerly it was known as, that place was known as Madras. Look at the next line. My father, Jainul Abdeen, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. Innate means inborn quality or feeling. Generosity of spirit means his soul sought to help others who were needy. So what's the meaning of this line? APJ Abdul Kalam's father's name was Jainul Abdeen, and he says that his father was not very rich. His father did not have wealth. He was not highly educated. But despite these disadvantages, even though he had these disadvantages, he had some other good qualities. What was that? He was naturally very wise and was very generous. Okay, then he had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiama. Kalam's mother's name was Ashiama, and she used to help his father. She was a great support. Okay, then I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. Kalam's mother, that means Ashiama, was very generous lady and very kind-hearted lady. Every day she used to feed a lot of people. She fed a greater number of people from outside than the total number of the members in their family. Okay, such a wide heart, such a big heart, kind heart she had. Look at the next paragraph. I was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. Undistinguished means ordinary or common. So Kalam had many siblings, and he describes himself as short and a boy who didn't have any special looks. He was just an ordinary boy who was born to tall and handsome parents. His parents were very much good looking, very handsome, tall and all, but he did not inherit any of their physical qualities. Okay, then we lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large Pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. Pakka house means a house made of limestone, brick and cement. So Kalam's ancestral house was very old. It was built in the 19th century. It was a Pakka house made of limestone, cement and brick, and it was situated on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. Austere means simple, strict, and severe. Secure, safe. So, Kalam's father was very simple, but he was strict. He taught his children not to waste money on unnecessary things. Kalam says that his father used to avoid all kind of luxuries, that means inessential comforts and luxuries. All of those kind of things were being avoided, but provided them all the necessary things. What are the necessary things which were being provided? Like food, clothes, and medicines. Okay, Kalam says his father or his parents fulfilled all his needs, whether it was any tangible thing or their love and affection, everything. From these lines, we can understand that Kalam was much thankful to his parents. The quality of gratitude in mind of Kalam is being shown through these lines. Okay. Now we are moving to the next paragraph. The Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. Kalam was 8 years old when the Second World War broke in the year 1939. So we can calculate that he was born in the year 1931. Look at the next line. For reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. Tamarind seeds. We are very much familiar with that. Yes. The demand for tamarind seeds increased in the market. Kalam used to collect and sell the tamarind seeds to a provision shop located on Mosque Street. He would earn a small sum of 1 anna. Anna, an old Indian coin worth about 6 paise. And you might have noticed one thing, the usage of the term princely sum. What it denotes? This shows that this 1 anna meant a lot of money to him, a big amount to Abdul Kalam. Okay. My brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Dinamani is the name of a daily newspaper. Kalam's brother-in-law Jalaluddin used to tell him the stories of the ongoing world war. Later, Kalam read the newspaper Dinamani and used to look for the news of the same stories heard from whom? Jalaluddin. Okay, so not the name of that newspaper Dinamani. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. Isolated means became lonely. Then Rameshwaram was a small island town far from the land. So it was not much affected by the World War in the beginning. But after some time, India had to join the war and combined with the Allied forces. Then what happened? A state of emergency was declared in the country. During emergency, the president's rule is implemented in the country. It is like a curfew in the country. A lot of privileges which are given to the people are withdrawn at that time. Then, the first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanushkodi. The first impact of World War II on the people of Rameshwaram was, what was that? The cancellation of the train stoppage at the Rameshwaram station, Rameshwaram railway station. Okay, earlier the train which came from India used to stop at Rameshwaram station and then went further to Dhanushkodi. But now that halt, that stop was cancelled, and the train went from India to Dhanushkodi without stopping at Rameshwaram. With this, what happened? The newspaper bundles which used to come from Rameshwaram was thrown out of the moving train as it reached Rameshwaram road. So, as there is no stop at the railway station at a particular place, the newspaper bundles will be thrown out, and they should have to catch the newspaper bundles thrown out from the moving train. That forced my cousin Samsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally, I filled the slot. Samsuddin helped me earn my first wages. Filled the slot means fit into a place easily, in a proper way. Kalam's cousin Samsuddin used to distribute the newspapers in Rameshwaram. As the train stoppage was cancelled at the railway station, what happened? The newspaper bundles were thrown out of the moving train, and he, that means Samsuddin, needed someone to help him catch that newspaper bundles thrown out from the train. So what happened? Kalam helped Samsuddin by catching the bundle of newspapers and distributing it. In return, Samsuddin paid him an amount, a salary, which was APJ Abdul Kalam's first wage, first earning, first salary. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. Kalam says that even now, when he writes that book, he feels proud when he thinks about that incident. Really, everyone feels the same whenever someone earns his own money with his hard work. Now we are moving to the next paragraph. Every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. And so did my 3 brothers and sisters. Figures of authority means a person who had authority over another person. A person who has the power to give orders or make decisions. Okay. Inherited means a characteristic or a quality which you have got from your parents or ancestors. So what's the meaning of this? For a child, the figure of authority, who is figure of authority for a child? His parents. And the next figure of authority can be his teachers and all. A person who has authority over the child. Kalam is saying that whenever a child is born, he has some qualities which he acquires from the elders in his family. This depends upon the social status of the family and the environment at home. From his father, he inherited honesty and self-discipline. Okay, honesty and self-discipline were inherited from his father. Then, and from his mother, he inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. So once again, from his father, he inherited honesty and self-discipline, and from his mother, he inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness. This point is very important. Okay. Then his siblings also inherited, that means his brothers and sisters, they also inherited, they also got these qualities from their parents. Then I had 3 close friends in my childhood: Ramnatha Shastri, Aravindan and Shiva Prakashan. All these boys were from orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. Orthodox means very strict. So in this lines it is said about his friends. Kalam had 3 best friends during his childhood. Their names are Ramnath Shastri, Aravindan and Shiva Prakashan. All of them belonged to very strict Hindu Brahmin families and were very strict followers of their religion. As children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. In fact, Ramnath Shastri was a son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple from his father. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Shiva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. So, Kalam was from a Muslim family, and he says that during his childhood, all the children were so close to each other and they never felt that they belonged to different religions. Religion was not a barrier in their friendship. There's a very famous temple in Rameshwaram. What's a Rameshwaram temple? Kalam's best friend named Ramnath Shastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, the priest of this temple, Rameshwaram temple. When these three friends grew up, Ramnath Shastri took the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple. That means he became the priest of the Rameshwaram temple like his father. Ramnath Shastri became the priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Then what about the other two? Aravindan started the business of transporting the pilgrims to and from the Rameshwaram temple. So pilgrims will be visiting this temple. It's a very famous temple in South India. So Aravindan started the business of transporting the pilgrims to and from the Rameshwaram temple. And what about Shiva Prakashan? Shiva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railway. That means he was in charge of the catering. Now we are moving to the next paragraph. During the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boards with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site, situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha, which was near our house. So, Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony. It is known as Kalyanolsava. It means marriage festival. In South India, marriage is known as Kalyanam. So, the Lord Ram and Sita's marriage is called the Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony. It is a ceremony of the marriage between Sita and Rama. So, whenever this ceremony used to take place, Kalam's family took part in it. They used to arrange the boards and they make a special platform on the boards on which the statue of Ram and Sita were placed and transported from the temple to the marriage site, where the marriage happens or where it occurs, which was in the middle of a pond named Ramatirtha. So the marriage ceremony was not being conducted from the temple. It is being conducted in the middle of a pond, and that place is called Ramatirtha. So this idol, this statue of Ram and Sita should be taken from the temple to the middle of the pond in a boat. So who will arrange the boat? Kalam's family will arrange the boat. Then this pond was near Kalam's house. When he was growing up, he never thought that there was any difference between Hindus and Muslims, as they also participated in the Hindu festivals in a very happy way or wholeheartedly. Then events from the Ramayana and from the life of Prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. Kalam says that they listened to stories from Ramayana and the life of the Prophet from their mother and grandmother as bedtime stories. So they listened to stories of both Hindu gods and Muslim gods. There was no differentiation on grounds of religion. One day, when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramnath Shastri, who wore the sacred thread. So Kalam belonged to a Muslim family, and he used to wear a cap on his head which identified him as a Muslim. And he sat in front row very next to Ramnath Shastri. Who was Ramnath Shastri? The son of the high priest of Rameshwaram temple, isn't it? One day, a new teacher came to their class when they were in 5th standard. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as a new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramnath Shastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the front row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. Could not stomach means could not tolerate or couldn't accept. This new teacher could not accept. A Hindu priest's son was sitting next to a Muslim boy. So, what that teacher did, he told Kalam to go and sit on the last bench. As it was believed that he belonged to a lower rank in the society in those days. Both the children felt very bad. When Kalam changed his seat and went back, sat on the last bench, Ramnath Shastri felt very sad. Kalam says that he still remembers the image, that picture of his friend Ramnath Shastri crying. It left a lifelong impression on Kalam, on his friend's feeling on for him. Then, after school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Shastri conveyed ultimately reformed this young teacher. So, both the children went home very sad and told their parents about this incident. Lakshmana Shastri called the new teacher and summoned means called, and scolded him. He is a high priest of the temple, he had that much power. He told him not to kill the children's friendship by putting the venomous discrimination of caste and religion into their innocent minds. Children don't know what's the difference between their religion really. They only know how to love each other. So Lakshmana Shastri was very clear in himself and he told the teacher, either you ask sorry for the wrong action you have done, or else leave the school and Rameshwaram town and the complete island itself. He should never be there if he is not ready to apologize. The teacher asked sorry, he apologized for the mistake he had done, and due to Lakshmana Shastri's determination, conviction, a strong opinion or belief, only because of that his thoughts about religion and caste has changed. This new teacher has changed completely. Okay. Then, on the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of the segregation of different social groups. However, my science teacher Shiva Subramanya Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. He did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle easily. He used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the big cities. The division of society into four groups like Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, such kind of division was being strictly followed in Rameshwaram in those days, especially in those days. Kalam's science teacher Shiva Subramanya Iyer was a very religious person, an orthodox Brahmin, but was a rebellious type of person. That means he did not believe in this kind of separation on the basis of caste system. He believed in his religion, but didn't believe in this kind of separation. He worked very hard to break these kind of social barriers. He wanted that people of different castes should interact with each other. And he encouraged Kalam to work hard so that he could be at the same level as the highly educated people who lived in big cities. The people who are very much educated will never be thinking of this kind of discrimination in name of caste, religion and all. So that was that lesson, that was that thing taught by this teacher, this science teacher to Kalam. One day, He invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in their ritually pure kitchen. She refused to serve me in her kitchen. Shiva Subramania Iyer was not perturbed, nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served me with his own hands and sat down beside me to eat his meal. His wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. Shiva Subramania Iyer's wife belonged to a traditional Orthodox Brahmin family, and she followed the religion very strictly. And she used to keep the kitchen very pure, and no one from any other religion were allowed to enter the kitchen. When Shiva Subramania Iyer called Kalam for dinner at his house, his wife feared that a boy from a Muslim family would make her kitchen impure. She thought in such a way. She refused to serve him food in her kitchen. But what Shiva Subramania Iyer did, he was neither upset nor angry with his wife. What he did, he himself served food to Kalam and sat down beside Kalam to eat. At this time, what his wife did, she just stood behind the kitchen door and looked at Kalam while he was having food. And Kalam says that he doesn't think that she felt there was any difference in the way he was having food, the way he was drinking water, or the way he cleaned the floor after the meal. He wants to highlight that religion doesn't matter, as it doesn't change the way in which a person do their things, like ordinary things like eating food. Then, when I was leaving his house, Shiva Subramania Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. Observing my hesitation, he told me not to get upset, saying, "Once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted." Confronted means faced. Okay. When Kalam was about to leave that house, he invited Kalam for dinner once again, and Kalam was not much happy to come there. And at this time, Shiva Subramania Iyer said that if he had decided to change the system, to go against that kind of norms of the society, he had to be strong and brave to face the problems, face anything which comes in front of them. Okay. When I visited his house the next week, Shiva Subramania Iyer's wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. Next time, when he reached teacher's house, his wife made him sit in the kitchen and served him food with her own hands. This is the great change that happened. Okay. Then moving to next para. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. Imminent means about something which is about to happen. When the Second World War got over in the year 1945, India was about to get freedom, and it happened in which year? When did we get freedom? In 1947. Gandhiji, who is the father of our nation, had done a crucial part in India's freedom struggle. We know all those. He said that Indians would build their own India. The entire country was filled with hope and happiness. Everyone was experiencing such a feeling which they had never felt before. That is, everyone was hoping that they would get their freedom very soon. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. He told me as if thinking aloud, "Abul, I know you have to go away to grow. Does the seagull not fly across the sun alone and without a nest?" Kalam asked his father to allow him to go to Ramanathapuram, which was a district headquarters for higher studies. And his father replied that he knew that Kalam needed to go away so that he could move ahead in his life. Then only he can reach somewhere in his life. He gave an example of a seagull which flies away in the sky all alone and does not have a nest. It means it does not have a home of its own as it keeps on flying from one place to another. He quoted Khalil Gibran to my hesitant mother. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. When Kalam's mother came to know that he was about to leave home and wanted to go to Ramanathapuram for higher studies, she became a little upset. But Kalam's father tried to console her down and told her a few lines from a famous writer, Khalil Gibran. What's that? Your children. That's a poem written by Khalil Gibran. He said in that poem that your children are not your children. They are the children of life. Don't think that you can rule your children. It is said that parents should never thrust their ideas upon their children because children have their own way of thinking, their own dreams. Let them fulfill their dreams. Okay, so by saying that, Kalam's father is giving permission to him for his higher studies. And there ends our chapter. My dear children, take your textbook now itself and read it completely. After reading, take your notebook and write today's notes.
As we say in India, where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is an order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world.